Okay. All right. Whoa, it's actually working. Okay. You mean I didn't blow stuff up? This is fantastic. Okay. Come on. Okay, so I don't need that, and I don't need that, and I don't need that. Okay. All right. Well, just gonna wait for a few more people to come on in. If you can hear me, let me know, because this is the first time that I'm connecting the church's YouTube page to my stuff here at home. So let me know if you guys can hear me. We might have some hiccups tonight. I don't know. I really don't know how this is even going to go. Let me know if the mic is too loud or if it's too soft or what. I might even turn this down just a bit. So if you are there, and you are able to type stuff into the comment section, go ahead and let me know how things are going, because I don't know how I sound. I have to have it like partially on my phone because I can't get the video over here to see how many people we actually have. So right now it looks like we have 3. So I'm going to wait for some of the other members to come on in. Hope you're all doing okay, whichever 3 are here with us. So obviously this is a Snowcast. This is a Snowcast because, well, we had to cancel services. We don't want people out there getting hurt. But I figured, well, okay, if we're going to go ahead and cancel it, we are in the 21st century, so let's go ahead and, do it live from the safety of our own homes. Now, we can hear you. Thank you, sister. Thank you very much. Maybe a bit louder, huh? Okay, hold on. Well, I'm going to do what I can do with the mic. So I just adjusted it. I hope that makes it better. I'm still working on. See, the problem is I would rather be using this mic, the Shure SM7B, but the problem is I don't have a cloud lifter for it, and if I don't have a cloud lifter for it, it's not going to be as loud. So I have to use this thing. I can't remember. It's a Shure mic, but it's not my favorite mic. I do have favorites. So just going to wait for a few more people to come on in. So far, we still got 3. And that might be it. If that's all it's going to be, hey, that's all right. It'll be fine. So we went ahead and we dug ourselves out this morning. We tried to dig ourselves out. And my poor wife, she's like, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it out the driveway. Bless her heart. And so I stood out there on the porch early this morning before the kids even got up because the kids didn't have school. And I watched her go on down the driveway. I'm like, oh man, yeah, she's doing pretty good so far. And then she gets to the turn right before she turns onto the road, and that's where she gets stuck. So I go all the way out there, and I go help her out. and I'm trying to push her. It's not going anywhere. Eventually, after a few minutes, we decide, okay, this is not going to work. So, honey, we just need to go ahead and try and push you on back to the house now, because she couldn't put it in reverse and back herself on down. She was kind of stuck. So I got in front of the car. Mind you, just the heart of a husband, the heart of a husband. I want to help out my wife. I get in front of the car, and I start pushing and everything. And as she's, trying to turn her wheels to get herself going, well, she gets going, but my boots slip out from underneath me, and my face smacks right on her grill. And I get up and everything, and there she is sitting in the passenger seat. But that's my lady. That's my lady. I can always make her smile. As long as I get hurt somehow, I can always make her smile. And that makes me smile. I'm the family clown. I am. And I've accepted that role. The kids know this very well. I'm the family clown. So, okay, anyways, I think that's enough of an introduction. Waste your time with the story, just trying to, give enough time for people to hop on here. So this is going to be really, really awkward tonight, only because on Wednesday nights when I like to teach, I like to feed off of the energy of other people. And I love hearing like brand new ideas in the class. Like whenever I ask a question or I ask for a comment on that or whatever it is, and I get to hear something that I've never heard before or never even thought of before. Those are some of the best moments when I'm teaching class. I love that so much. That's why I literally can't do a lecture style class. Some people are really, really good at it. I can't. I probably could if I had to on certain subjects, but so anyways, this is going to be really, really awkward and difficult for me because as I'm going through the material, I'm I'm probably going to ask, you got any questions on that? But it's not going to be the same. So where I have us in our notes is that we left off right before verse 17 in Proverbs chapter 15. Now, if you haven't been a part of our Proverbs study, there at the building, Shy 5608, I think I know who that is. Hello, Shy. I think I know who you are, but I won't say. Anyways, so if you've been a part of our Wednesday night Bible study, we've been going through Proverbs chapter 15, and we've been in Proverbs, the book of Proverbs, for a long time. Proverbs predominantly was written by Solomon in his wisdom, and he got a lot of wisdom in his life. He got wisdom like directly downloaded to him from God because he didn't ask for riches or wealth or anything like that, or power. He wanted wisdom. And not only did he get wisdom from that, he also got wisdom from experience, especially when you read the book of Ecclesiastes. And as we have been learning through reading Proverbs, that a lot of the things that he says directly applies to this guy. And that's because he got wisdom from doing bad things. You can get wisdom from doing bad things. In fact, I don't know about you, but for me, those have been some of the most powerful ways to gain wisdom. Like, okay, that was dumb. I'm not going to do that again. Thank you, Lord, because that could have been a whole lot worse, kind of thing. And so Solomon has been sharing his wisdom with us. We're in Proverbs 15:17, and I rigged it on OBS so that, hey, we've got PowerPoint over here for you. So I hope it holds up the entire time. This is going to be very fun. So verse 17 says, better is a dish of vegetables where there is love than a fattened ox and hatred with it. So what is this proverb basically saying? Well, I think it's kind of obvious. Meat is better than vegetables. And that's it. That's all that's being said right there. Meat is better than vegetables. No, not really. That's not what's going on. So there's a contrast going on between something really good and something really bad, but they have the opposites attached to it. What do I mean? Well, a dish of vegetables is not, it doesn't sustain you as much as, well, meat. That's a good thing. Meat is a good thing. Vegetables are a good thing, but not as satisfying as like meat. Whenever I have A nice steak, I just feel so satisfied afterward. Not so much with vegetables. Yes, of course, they're healthy. We all understand that. But he's taking a culturally negative thing, but he's adding the positive of love here, okay? In fact, on my screen, I believe I can't move if I move my little camera over here so that it looks like I'm doing this, right here where the text is, I end up blocking the chapter and the verse. But my computer's over here, so it's going to be kind of backwards. So now it's up here for you. But anyways, so love is a very good thing. Vegetables, not as good as meat. And then you have meat, a fatted ox, okay? And hatred, good plus bad, or bad plus good. So what's going on? It's almost a very simple breakdown of the things that we observe in our everyday life, where you say, things are really, really bad right now. Things are really, really bad in my life, or whatever it is, whatever's going on. But you know what? I've always got this. I've always got that. I've got God. I've got my family. I've got my relationship with Jesus. And as long as I have those core elements, I can get through anything. It doesn't matter what I have. And so this seems to be just a basic observation of the state of life. It does not really so much depend upon what you have, the quantity of the things in your life, but the quality of your life. And I can't remember what my principle was for this, but what I have is the comforts of this world will never bring peace. You could have the comfort of meat, okay? But if you're surrounded by hatred, both inside and outside, it doesn't matter what you have. It doesn't matter if you have a yacht. It doesn't matter if you have some sort of savings plan or anything like that. If you don't have love inside of you and experienced around you by those who love you, what is it all for? What is it all for? It's not worth anything. It's really not. And of course, obviously, one of our members would probably rightly point out that there is a spiritual element to this as well, which obviously, yes, there is a spiritual element to this, that in everyday life, and we kind of already said this, but in everyday life, no matter what you go through, it is so unbelievably important for every single one of us to remember, I still have my God. My Lord Jesus still died for me. He still rose again. He still promised to come back. He promised me a place with him in heaven. As long as I have that, it does not matter what happens to me. And too often, I think, unfortunately, and guilty party here, unfortunately, we don't meditate on that nearly as often as we really should. And that's a problem. So anyways, okay. On to Proverbs chapter 15, verse 18. A hot-tempered man stirs up strife, but the slow to anger quiets a dispute. You ever have somebody that you work with, and they're like always hot-tempered? No matter what you say, no matter what you do, they're just always upset. They're always just on the edge of just exploding, it seems, all of the time. And then you come along, and they say something to you, obviously trying to get at you, obviously trying to get you to react, to feed into his anger and be a part of their anger. And you just give the most gentle, most kind response you can in a clear tone, calm, loving tone. And it totally sets them on their heels. It's like they don't know what to say. They were expecting you to explode with them or explode at them to keep this thing going for them. But then you don't. It takes them completely aback. That's because the world operates on the premise of basically the first one. That, with the hot-tempered man, there's an element of not being able to think things through and not being able to understand the implications of your words and your actions. And that is the world. This is foolishness. This is what foolishness does. And when you come along having your biblical wisdom, your godly life that you're trying to live as you live in faith in Jesus, you are the one who quiets a dispute. And you are the one that, as Paul would say, in quoting Proverbs, it seems, heaping hot coals on another's head. Of course, there are many interpretations to what Paul meant there. But let's see what the principle was, because I can't even remember. The person, not the problem, is the source of most of the problems. Take a look at this again, okay? A hot-tempered man, it's not so much on the hot-tempered man. He stirs up strife, but the slow to anger quiets a dispute. So one is stirring up problems. The other one is doing everything they can to silence the problem, to make it go away, to resolve the problem. It's not so much the situations that we get into where the problem lies. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is simply and merely the attitude and the person behind it all that is really the problem. And that's all that's being said there. So if by the way, I have my chat up now. I can't see how many are viewing. But if you have a question or a comment at any time, go ahead, type it on in there. And when I eventually look over here again, because my PowerPoint's over here, eventually when I look over here again, I'll address whatever you're saying, okay? Unless I don't like it, then I'll just ignore it. Anyways, I hope a few key members are listening to that because they get a good chuckle out of it. Anyways, all right, so we have Proverbs chapter 15, verse 19 now. The way of the sluggard is as a hedge of thorns, but the path of the upright is a highway. Okay? This is something that we've talked about an awful lot. We've talked about it a lot. We've talked about the idea of laziness being connected to foolishness, a lack of diligence in your work, a lack of diligence in who you are as a person. Obviously, it's not only going to come back to bite you here and now on the earthly plane of existence, but also obviously in eternity. And this is all due to you. This is all due to who you choose to be every single day. Who do you choose to be? Do you choose to be the person that wakes up and go like, you know what? I'm going to do something today, and it's going to be a lot of something or a lot of little things. Regardless, I'm going to get stuff done today. On the other hand, there was, I'm going to share this story. There's also the other side where it's like, no, I'm going to be lazy and I'm going to do whatever I want, and whatever consequences come, whatever. So here's the story I want to share. I just found out today, and I looked a little bit at the video, as wild as it is. There was a streamer, okay? Like a video streamer, video game streamer or something like that. And they let their little baby, she let her little baby perish after not feeding them for a week because they forgot to. Yeah, I'm letting that breathe for a second. Somebody who was so focused on all of their money-making schemes and, being online all the time, always being in front of a camera, just completely neglected their family, their child, and now she might be facing 15 years in jail. I say more, but that's laziness. That's a lack of diligence. That's sluggard. Laziness will always surround you with a plethora of problems caused by you. And it's a simple fix. It really is. We don't like to fix it sometimes, but it is a simple fix. Just get up and do something. You have a problem in your life, go ahead and address it. See if you can fix it. Now, of course, these are general truths. It's not always going to work out like that. We all know that very well. But when somebody does not try to fix any of their problems in their life, because they have no ability, but they don't want to. They're lazy. They're going to be inundated with problems all of the time. And so the principle that I have for this, and I can't remember what I put down. Oh yeah, don't complain about the traffic on the back roads when you could have taken the highway. Okay? I don't know. Maybe that was too cute, but I think it was appropriate. Anyways, so we got Proverbs chapter 15, verse 20. A wise son makes a father glad, but a foolish man despises his mother. Hold on, I have to adjust something just really quick over here. Okay, there we go. Trying to just get everything up to where I need it to be. Anyways, so a wise son makes a father glad, but a foolish man despises his mother. This is a very, very simple thing, and this is seen in many biblical texts, specifically when you're talking about those texts, like what Paul says in Romans, where he says, "No one lives to himself, no one dies to himself." Well, what do I mean? Well, this right here is a wisdom way of saying you will, by your action, inaction, foolishness, or wisdom, you will affect those around you, even to your very father and mother. And so the principle is very simple. Similar to Proverbs 10:1, we were supposed to turn there in our Bibles tonight. I didn't adjust any of this. Your actions play a role in how another will be regarded. So think about a manager for a second. Think about a manager. And the manager is, of course, responsible for all of the people that's underneath them. What if you have a really, really foolish employee that is working underneath you? Is that going to make you look foolish as the manager? Yeah, it is. It comes back on you. Our actions, our wisdom or foolishness, it affects other people around us, even their very reputations. Now, the fool won't care about that fact. I don't care. No, not at all. The wise person actually cares about that. You mean my actions will actually impact the quality of life that others have, no matter how big or small? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And this is a recent example I've been using, but only because it's so powerful after I found it out. So, I don't know, it just hit me right in the brain. The Messianic line was about to be eliminated in Queen Athaliah's time by one person. One. That's all it took. One person. Little baby Joash. And if it were not for the mercenaries and the shields and the swords and the spears that David had laid up in the temple 160 years prior, the Messiah would have never come. That little boy would have died. Your actions, they impact those around us. Anyways, that was a long way around of telling you what you already know, right? So, okay. Proverbs chapter 15, verse 21. Folly is gladness to him who lacks a heart of wisdom, but a man of discernment walks straight. Now, everybody knows that that term, ignorance is bliss. And we always mean it in a good way, and I totally agree with it. You know, the less you know about something, the better. The less you know about a certain problem, you know, the better for your heart, the better for your, you know, the drama centers of your brain. You know, they get to take a rest because I don't know anything about that, and I can just be totally ignorant of it, and I don't have to worry about it. However, there is an aspect to that that is actually bad, and it's right here in this verse. Folly is gladness to him who lacks a heart of wisdom, but a man of discernment walks straight. The principle is ignorance is moronic bliss. There are some people that choose to be ignorant over the most important things in their life. Right? Okay, I'm not talking about the things that you really don't need to be involved in, and you don't need to hear the drama behind it. Sometimes we want to hear the drama, but you know, we really don't need to because it's just going to cause them stress. It's going to cause us stress. Not talking about that. We're talking about the very important things in your life that you must address and you must deal with. You must think about and come to a conclusion and solution on them. Okay? And the foolish, in their folly, they'll be totally fine not addressing those things. In fact, it even makes them happy to be foolish on certain things. It makes them totally happy. I mean, I think the obvious example is, Romans 1. That's the obvious example, right? People don't like to think about God. In fact, they don't like to think about God so much. It's not that they're turning their face and ignoring him. No, they're taking the knowledge of God that they already have, and they are squashing it. They are putting it down, submerging it. And they like it that way. And don't you ever try and take it from them. Folly is gladness to him who lacks a heart of wisdom. They don't have any wisdom. They don't want wisdom. Why? Well, because we talked about this before. They already think they're wise. They already do. Wisdom is plentiful in the world today. Just worldly wisdom. But a man of discernment walks straight. So, the principle there is ignorance is moronic bliss. Okay, so Proverbs chapter 15, verse 22. I miss having comments and questions so bad. I really do. Hopefully, next Wednesday we'll be all back together again, and I can hear you guys give me your questions, and we can have awesome conversation digging into the text, and a few of the members can poke fun at me and tell me I'm bald. That's going to be great. That's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. Anyways, Proverbs chapter 15, verse 22, without consultation, plans are frustrated, but with many counselors, they succeed. Okay, this is obviously the same kind of thing that we've been talking about. Okay, the foolish man already thinks they have wisdom, and therefore they do not want to seek and reach out to those who they know have lived longer or been through more or been through a similar situation, because that requires humility. And as we know, wisdom requires humility. If you don't have humility, you're just a fool. They don't want to go into that category of wisdom, biblical wisdom, because it means humility, and humility is always at war with pride. Without consultation, plans are frustrated. I mean, you could probably think of plans in your life that I could think of some right now if I really wanted to. Nothing's coming to mind. Usually I like to have a good story. I'm sure that there has been many times in my life where I have simply refused to reach out to ask for advice, and because I didn't, the plan fell apart. And it wasn't a bad plan or a good plan or anything like that. It was just a normal plan. And because I had too much pride to just reach out and ask, hey, what do you think about this? Because of that, the plan failed. And I remember, man, I wish I could remember the story, but I remember thinking that exact same thing. Man, I really wish I would have asked advice about this before I started doing this or getting into this. Like taking apart a motor or something like that. Go ahead and take apart something on your car. You know what? I just call one of my buddies really quick about how to do this. Nope, I can do it myself, okay? Well, no, I can't. I remember working on, I think it was either my alternator or the heater core. It was the heater core on my 2003 Mercury Sable in Tennessee. Yep. I didn't lift the motor out to get that thing. I climbed all the way in the back, hunching over the engine. I could have asked for help. But no, this guy took me like 8 hours just to do that. And you couldn't really get at it from underneath the vehicle because of the heat shield that was there. You can't get at the heater core. You just can't. Your arm don't bend that way. So I'm leaning over it the entire time, and somebody offered help, and I can't remember who because this is like 10 years ago. And I should have taken the help. Without consultations, plans are frustrated. But with many counselors, they succeed. Well, it seems like we've been using this example a lot in class. Remember what happened with Rehoboam? He didn't take the advice that was given to him by his elders, those who had lived under his father's reign and knew the ins and outs of the political system and what the people would like. No. I'm going to go to people my own age group. They know more than me. So anyways, the principle here is don't be upset if you fall off the roller coaster when the ride operator said stay seated. Okay? So we can really shoot ourselves in the foot by not having a plan, but well, not just not having a plan, but by not asking for advice, by not sitting somebody down that the plan requires the attention of, and saying, I've got this going on. I want to act like I got it all figured out, but I really need some help. Our pride can really, especially men, okay? That's just a reality, women, that's not an excuse for you to look over at your husbands right now. I know some of you were doing it. Anyways, but especially men. We don't like asking for help because we want to be the ones that have it all figured out, that our families that we're protecting and providing for, that they can look up to, and they can know they're always going to be there for me. We want to be that. Reality is we're not. That's God. That's God's area. Okay? God is the one who takes care of all of us. Men, that ain't me and you. Anyways, okay. This is what happens when I don't get a whole lot of interaction in class. I start going everywhere. Okay? This is not good. Now you know why my sermons are so crazy. Proverbs chapter 15, verse 23. A man has gladness in an apt answer, and how good is a timely word. Now, let's see. You ever have those? This is just a simple wisdom saying, kind of like saying the sky's blue almost. It's always good to give an answer at the right time. And not only at the right time, but the right thing to say and said in the correct way. Like those moments they're sweet. I love it when I'm having a conversation with somebody and they'll be opening up their heart to me, and their heart's literally breaking in front of me, and I'm thinking about, man, what am I even going to say to them? Man, I wish I could take their hurt and pain away, but I can't do that. And then out comes from the mouth this wisdom saying, like, oh yeah, well, blah 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 blah, and it's like, did I really just say that? Was that me? Wow, I wish that would happen more than once every 5 years. Oh man, but that's all that this is saying. A man has gladness in an apt answer, and how good is a timely word. Now, I will say that there is the reality that you can increase your chance of being on the giving end of one of these, a good answer, a timely word, by having one simple thing. There we go. Wisdom. Okay? The sweetness of an encouraging word said at the right time is preceded only by wisdom. Only by wisdom. Okay? I want to be the guy that always has the right thing to say. Now, 70% of the time I'm not. Okay? But I want to be that guy. But I can tell this for certain, that I'm more of that guy I want to be, whose name is Jesus. I'm more of that guy that I want to be today than I was before I became a Christian. Now, why is that? Well, wisdom. Wisdom from the Word of God, which gets me back to something I've been saying, I try to say it as much as I can. I try to be annoying about it too, because I'm annoying to myself about it. You need to be reading your Bibles. I'm going to let that breathe. You need to be reading. You need to have constant exposure to the Word of God, and only through that avenue are you going to get the influx of God's wisdom that you really, really daily need. Like a surge every single day. You need it. You may not even feel it happening. You may not believe that it's happening. If you are exposing yourself to the Word of God every single day, it's happening. Just as a consequence. You stick a piece of paper in fire, what's it going to do? Get cold? No, it's going to burn. You have that constant exposure to the Word of God, and you will grow in wisdom. Okay? And we all need to grow in wisdom, especially this guy right here, okay? The path of life leads forward. This is Proverbs 15, verse 24. Hold on, I'm just going to check on over here really quick. Everything still seems to be going good, so okie dokie then. Anyways, the path of life leads upward for the one who has insight, that he may turn away from Sheol below. Okay, what's this saying? I'm not gonna go ahead and do this whole elaborate thing. This is kind of straightforward. Okay, I do want to talk about one thing though, and it is here in the principle. Escaping death and hell is incredibly simple for those who will only listen. I'm going to say this again, and hopefully a little bit of a different way, but I say it so often, almost every Proverbs class, for a reason, okay? The power of listening comes from what? I'm saying it differently than I normally do. The power of listening comes from a heart of what? Let's do that. I don't just mean the words going in one ear and coming out the other. I mean listening, understanding, intaking, breathing, meditating on. Listening comes from what? It comes from wisdom, which must come from humility. Actually, it's the other way around. Listening has to come from humility, and all of that adds to wisdom. Okay? I can feel this old man thing happening to me now. Now that I'm almost the ancient 31, you can laugh at home. Where I'm starting to... It's so dangerous, too. I hate it. It's the old man in me coming out. I hate it. I hate it so much. Where you're starting to listen a little bit less to what other people have to say. Now, maybe part of that is good, right? Maybe part of that is good because you've gained a certain amount of wisdom, and it's like, okay, I already know what they're going to say. I've been there, done that. I've dealt with that before. That's just not right. And I think an element of that is good. But also in that growing in wisdom, because our fleshly nature is still attached to our spirit that's growing in wisdom, we can get to the point where we look back at all of the wisdom that we have gained, and then we're like, no one younger than me can tell me anything I don't already know. It's starting. It's starting. I can feel it. I don't like it. I don't like it a bit. And I pray that I never become that old grumpy man that can't be persuaded by anything. There's that country song, Don't Let the Old Man In. Anyways, so Proverbs chapter 15, verses 25 through 27. I'm going to do this whole section in one piece here because they really feel like they fit together. Yahweh will tear down the house of the proud, but he will cause the boundary of the widow to stand. Evil thoughts are an abomination to Yahweh, but pleasant words are pure. He who is greedy for gain troubles his own household, but he who hates gifts of bribery will live. Now, okay, and you already saw where I was heading with this. I just spoiled it, but it's okay. What does this whole situation sound like? I mean, to me, and this is before, Solomon wrote this before it ever happened, but man, it's really, really close to the whole thing with Naboth's vineyard. You have Ahab, you have King Ahab, and he's got this greed and this desire in his heart, and he wants this guy, Naboth, he wants his vineyard. He's going to take it from him. He doesn't care if it's immoral. He doesn't care if it's unethical or anything like that. In fact, his wife is egging him on. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. Just do it. Naboth says no. And Jezebel says, fine, I'll get it for you. And remember, King Ahab is laying on his couch, pouting like a child the entire time. And Naboth literally did nothing wrong. What I like to think about with the occurrence of what happened with Naboth, and I actually brought this up on my Villains of the Bible episode on King Ahab. That was episode 2. What happened to Naboth's wife? What about his sons? Do we even know he had sons? Yes, we do. In 2 Kings chapter 2 or chapter 9, it actually confirms that Naboth had sons. What happened to them? Their inheritance was taken. That woman was made a widow. I mean, talk about evil. Ahab did not just take a piece of land from a guy. He took their lives. I mean, it's not like the 21st century where you can go out and go get a new job anytime you want. Well, that's slowly disappearing. But anyways, it's not like now. I mean, you take away something as fundamental as their vineyard, how they make their money. You've taken away their life. Everything that they needed and relied upon. The man that they relied upon, gone. The land that they relied upon to get food and money or whatever, gone. And now these boys are left without their inheritance. The wife is left without her husband, which, comes to mind in verse 25. Yahweh will tear down the house of the proud, but he will cause the boundary of the widow to stand. We don't know what happened to that widow. And we don't know what happened to the boys, not really. But we do know what happened to Ahab and Jezebel. And boy, was it not pretty. In fact, when it came to Ahab, that was downright sovereignty right there. That was providential. There ain't no way you'll ever convince me it wasn't. But all of this, okay, should tell us this principle, these 3 verses. The greedy pride that plots evil will be met with God's judgment, and God will lift up those hurt by them. So it's like a seesaw, right? On earth, the evil are up here, and the righteous followers of God who are trusting in him, they're down here. Well, you know what? One of these days, the man's going to come around. It's a song by Johnny Cash. I could end the Bible class by playing that song, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to search for it. But anyways, that's a good song. The greedy pride that plots evil will be met with God's judgment, and God will lift up those hurt by them. Why? Because God is not a God of inaction. You're either going to get paid back by God in this life or in the next one. And sometimes both, right? Sometimes both. We got biblical precedent for that, and those stories are definitely not pretty. How about Athaliah's husband, whose bowels came out because of his idolatry? That was not a good time. Yeah, it said it was explicitly very painful and incurable, and that in the course of 2 years, his bowels came out. That's scary stuff, and it happened to him. So the question that I have to ask myself is, okay, do I, current state right now, have any greedy, prideful plots of evil, even if I'm trying to justify them? We should all be thinking that all the time because, ladies and gentlemen, the flesh is not just at war with the spirit. In a matter of speaking, the flesh is at war with you. It's almost like a second part of yourself. It's still yourself, but it's almost like a second part of yourself where it wants to thwart the good that you are trying to do in following Jesus and the good that God is working through you. And Satan will use your flesh to thwart those plans. Oh, yeah, go ahead and do that really good thing. Just cut a corner around here really quick. Just really quick. Nothing bad will happen. And in fact, you're doing it for the greater good. Yeah, you got to squash a few toes on the way, but hey, look what's going to come out of it. Focus on that, buddy boy. We need to be on guard against our flesh all the time. Okay. Yeah. Before I get into verses 28 through 33, because that's a bigger section, and it's 7:30, I think I am going to go ahead and end it, actually. I think I am going to go ahead and end it. So I hope you all like the stream and everything. Like the Bible class, the Snowcast for tonight. And we will be back in person next Wednesday. Of course, we're going to see you Sunday. So, do you have any comments or questions before we sign off here? You got 10 of you here. 10 of you. What do you got? Anything? If not, then I shall bid thee farewell. This was fun. This was hard to do. Actually. But once I got it squared away, this was quite fun. But it's not as fun as having my brothers and sisters around, making fun of my baldness and studying the Bible together. That's a good time. It always is. It always will be. So, all right. If there are no comments, which I'm seeing none, I love you all. And I see a few hearts. All right, cool. And I will talk to you later. So I'm going to attempt to go ahead and stop streaming this thing. So you can log off with it whenever. I don't know. Let's see. I'm going to hit the button that says stop streaming. Here we go. Well, I know I'm not going to be able to reconnect. That's the point. Your stream will stop and you will not.